rumba to the loud music. The other Skulls members dance and drink with their girls. Buster and the other teens are very quiet, sitting on couches. Nicky and Jenny stand in a corner. They keep their eyes on Pocco and his gang, who have taken over the party. Suddenly, the door bursts open, and in strides Lorenzo and his gang. All the teens start to smile. The room goes still, except for the Latin music. The faces of the Skulls drop as they look at each other, knowing they are outnumbered. Lorenzo looks over at the radio. He struts over to it and gives it a ferocious kick. The Skulls all jump up as Pocco rushes Lorenzo. Lorenzo lands a haymaker into Pocco's face. Nicky has a huge grin on his face. On the ground, Pocco holds his face as Lorenzo kicks him in the ribs. Both gangs fight it out and use house objects, chairs, lamps, to beat each other with. Tino hits Lorenzo with a lamp. Lorenzo punches him, but Pocco jumps up and grabs Lorenzo in a bear hug. Tino uses Lorenzo as a punching bag. Suddenly, a rabid punch lands on the back of Pocco's neck. Pocco drops. Lorenzo sees the fist belongs to Nicky. Nicky flails away at Tino. Pocco begins to crawl away. Lorenzo turns him over and pins him down by sitting on him.
This is payback.
Lorenzo pounds Pocco over and over, making mincemeat of his face. Pocco's head drops to one side. Whitey pulls the enraged Lorenzo.
Get this piece of shit out of here!
The other beaten-up Skulls rush to Pocco, lifting him up and drag him out the door. Lorenzo's gang throw cans and bottles at the group as they run to their car. Lorenzo turns the radio dial back to rock and roll.
All right, it's party time.
Davy comes rushing into the room, holding Ellen by one hand. The other has a hot dog in it.
Hey, why didn't you guys tell me there was a fight? I would have gotten a few shots in.
The gang starts laughing. Lorenzo eyeballs the sharkskin jacket.
Are you wearing my fucking suit jacket? And how did mustard get on it?
Davy's knees shake like a jackhammer. Ellen tries to wipe the mustard off, but it shows a stain.
Nicky gave it to me.
Davy whips the jacket off and throws it at Nicky. Lorenzo gets into Nicky's face, but smiles. He zooms in on Nicky's bloodied hand.
You did good, kid. But I feel sorry for you. Mom's gonna kill you.
No. Mom's gonna kill you, I think.
Yeah, that is true.
Both smile as Nicky wipes blood from his hand. Interior, Nicky's apartment, next day, morning. In the kitchen, Elizabeth puts cream on Nicky's swollen hand. She is clearly upset as she begins to wrap it in bandages.
How are you going to play the violin today?
I'll be fine.
No, you're not fine, Nicky. I warned you yesterday not to go to that party.
I get it, okay?
How many times have I have to tell you I don't want you hanging out with Lorenzo and his crowd?
You know, if it wasn't for Lorenzo, you would be bandaging a lot more than just my hand, okay?
Nicky. You're different than all of us. A very special boy. Nicky, you have a rare gift that you can use. Don't throw it away, Nicky. Lorenzo, your father and I, we don't have that. I'm just trying to protect it for you, Nicky.
Mom, I understand you're worried about me, okay? I get it. I know how important it is, and to you and Pop. Believe me, everything will be okay. All right?
Interior, Bronx Italian American Hall, afternoon. The performance ends by Brenda, 16, female vocalist. Loud clapping from the audience. After a moment, Miss Morgan, 30, the school counselor with name tag appears, also clapping.
Wasn't that wonderful? That was Brenda Logan, a very talented singer.
The clapping dies down. Front row, all dressed up, a proud family. Spiro, Elizabeth, along with Aunt Loretta and Uncle Rico. Jenny sits next to Elizabeth. Lorenzo and Mary hold hands, sitting at the end of the row.
Now I want to present the next performer, one of the most talented musical students that has ever attended our school. We're also proud that he is graduating high school at the age of 16.
The entire Santoriello family begins to clap. Miss Morgan politely nods to them.
So without further ado, I now present Nicky Santoriello on the violin, performing Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto.
Nicky Nikki walks out on stage and bows to the audience.
Doesn't Nikki look wonderful on stage? Everything is going so well for him. I mean, his future just looks so great.
And I think your future with him will also be great.
A confident Nicky holds his violin up high with a band in his right hand. Nicky begins his first movement when, cut to, a door opens in the back. Light. Noise filters to the front. Annoyed, Nicky looks up and sees Nardelli, Frankie and Bella, 18. Nardelli's demure, stunning daughter come in and make their way down the aisle. Lorenzo perks up when he sees Bella walk gracefully down the aisle, like love at first sight. Mary notices this and elbows him in the side. 3 people sitting behind the Santoriello family move over to give the trio seats. Nardelli goes into the row first, followed by Bella and Frankie. Nardelli looks up and sees Nicky staring at him. Nicky gives Nardelli a sarcastic expression. Is it all right with you that I start? Nardelli nods for him to begin. Elizabeth has turned around in her seat and is looking at Nardelli. He smiles and tips his hat to her. She nods to him. Upset at his rudeness, Elizabeth turns around to the front with a frown on her face. Nicky begins to play the intense Russian musical piece. Cut to. Nicky finishes. The audience stands and applauds, leading the way is Elizabeth. Tears of joy rolling down her face. The family gathers around Nicky congratulating him. Huge smile. Spiro squeezes Nicky's arm, while Jenny gives him a quick kiss on the cheek, which causes Nicky to blush. Mary gives him a hug. A smiling Lorenzo shakes his left hand.
You did good, kid.
Thanks, Lorenzo.
There are hugs from Aunt Loretta and pats on the back from Uncle Rico. Nardelli and Bella attempt to get near Nicky, but Mr. Whitfield, 40, meticulous, steps in front of them and shakes Nicky's hand. What a pleasure it is to finally meet you, Nicky. I'm Mr. Whitfield from Carnegie Mellon, School of Music in Pittsburgh.
It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
I had a great time. I'll be in contact with you to go over the many benefits there are at our school. Mr. Whitfield leaves, Nardelli and Bella approach.
Good performance, Nicky. You know, you could play at my place anytime. This is my lovely daughter, Bella.
That was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you, Bella.
That was nice, you know. I got some influence at some of those music schools, like Juilliard School of Music.
A woman,
Maybe I can
Christy
take care
Hammer,
of you.
35, comes up next to Nardelli. Christy moves toward Nicky but looks directly at Nardelli.
Excuse me, sir, but I represent Juilliard. Hi, Nikki. I'm Christy Hammer, head of the music department. I'm looking forward to discussing your coming to our school.
Feeling awkward, Nardelli pulls his arm off of Nicky and steers Bella to the rest of the Santoriello clan. He shows her off to Elizabeth and Spiro. Lorenzo comes over and shakes Bella's hand. Lorenzo is clearly taken in by this beautiful young woman. He looks into Bella's eyes and they widen. Nardelli spots Nicky alone. He walks over to him and puts a $10 bill in Nicky's hand. Nicky looks at it for a moment and hands it back to Nardelli.
Thank you, Mr. Nardelli. I appreciate it. Now, put it towards my pop's debt.
Nicky walks away as the perplexed Nardelli stands motionless with a pen in his hand. Exterior, Cortona Park, night. Lorenzo drives his motorcycle into the park. He glides it into a spot where a new sedan sits under a street lamp. Leaning against the car, Angelo, 22, wise guy, takes a hit from a bottle of beer. He hands the bottle to Susie, 18, chews gum, hot blonde, who along with Dee Dee, 20, in heavy makeup, smokes, stands near Angelo. Lorenzo swaggers over to them.
You Angela?
Yeah? Fuck you.
The girls giggle. Lorenzo gives them a quick glance.
Who the fuck am I? I work for Frankie the Bulldog. I got a package for you.
Yeah, well, how am I supposed to know Frankie sent you?
What choice do you have?
Fucking Frankie. Can't come meet me himself. I come all the way from Brooklyn just to meet one of his little punk delivery boys.
He laughs as he turns to the girls, but they are too busy checking out Lorenzo. Lorenzo pulls out the package. Abruptly, Angelo grabs it and tosses them into the back seat.
You should put that in the trunk.
Angelo is livid. He pulls from the back seat a briefcase and pushes it at Lorenzo.
Don't tell me what to do. How about I put you in the trunk?
Lorenzo brushes past Angelo and opens the rear door.
Hey, what are you doing?
Lorenzo comes back at him with the package in his hand. With a swift move, he slams Angelo against the car and pounds Angelo's chest with it.
Don't be stupid.
Angelo's
Who you calling stupid?